Oh, hello, Kevin. How are you today?
Barbara, how you doing?
Great, thank you. I'm here with Kevin Newhouse. Kevin, you are a financial advisor with Jacob Young Financial, and do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. I've been in this industry for more than 10 years now, and I am a local. I was raised in Aptos, still live there today with my wife, and I'm just really lucky to be able to offer this service to our community. It's something I really enjoy. It's something that I think I'm good at, and it's a service that a lot of people need. And it's a vulnerable topic, discussing finances and money issues, but it's so important. And so I'm just really glad that I'm able to offer that service.
Yes, I think it can make us uncomfortable to talk about our finances, and when you find someone that you can really, connect with, rely upon, and feel like you can trust, um, I think it makes a big difference. And I can speak from experience and say that you are that person. So
Thank
yes,
you.
definitely, I can attest to that. So I'm curious about this. I think a lot of people wonder, well, why is it a good idea to consult with a financial advisor? And there are so many now new options online, for example, where you can do a lot of financing online. What's the benefit to dealing with a real human being? And what's the difference, I guess?
Yeah, well, you nailed it right there. It's dealing with a real human being. So I always, use the comparison of using WebMD versus going to a doctor. There's resources available. If you're really skilled and know what you're doing and are confident with those skills, you could probably go online and do some investing yourself. You can have a robo advisor do the work for you. But the problem with the robo advisors is that they aren't a human being. There's no way for them to differentiate between one person and another. They could be in the complete same situation, but the results could be very, very different depending on those individuals' households, their needs, their goals, their desires, their occupations. So if you're looking just at numbers, then I'm sure a robo advisor could do a great job with the investments. But if you're looking to get some planning, some long-term tax efficiency, um, investments that are tailored to an individual person, then I think it's a good idea to meet with a financial advisor and a financial planner and someone who can sit down and go over these details in
Yeah,
person.
someone that can figure out what your objectives are. And sometimes you might not even be clear until you do speak to someone. It's sort of like the process of when you buy a house as well. And a lot of people think about buying a house online only without talking to someone, but there's so much more involved. So it's I think maybe a similar process. So, at what age should someone consider starting to talk to a financial advisor? Um, we have teenagers, actually, they're a little older than that, and we already are sort of thinking of recommending them to start, learning these things. So, is that too early? And also, do you need to have a certain amount of money saved in order to make it worth your while to speak to an advisor?
Yeah, so both great questions, and I don't think it's ever too early to start. And I also don't think it's ever too late to start. So obviously, the earlier you start, the better off you're going to be, potentially. But I think, especially for education, if you can get the younger kids into starting to think about just budgeting, even something as simple as giving them an allowance and letting them learn what it's like to live within those means, that's a great start. um, it's really good to get them familiar with saving for college, let's say, setting a goal, saying this is what we need to get to the goal, how are we going to get there, seeing them work through that process. And then if they are able to work and have some earned income, opening an IRA for them, it's a great idea to start young. It's able to get some investments going early on. If you reinvest the dividends, the compounding interest is just a really, really powerful tool. And it's good to get into the habit of just putting a little bit away every month and just putting it away and forgetting about it and just really seeing how quickly it's going to add up. And then once they see that account growing, I think it'll really motivate them to maybe even put in a little bit more than they were before.
Then there
And
were.
same with, it's people who didn't start young. It's never too late. You can always start. If you want to meet your goals for retirement, you're going to need to maybe contribute a little bit more than if you had started when you were younger. But that's another benefit of coming to talk to an actual financial advisor is, we have that ability to let you know if you're on track to meet your goals and what you need to do if you're not on track to meet those goals.
That's really important. So that's great. So we'll be sending our kids.
Yeah, send them.
Wonderful. So what is, in general, your investment philosophy? What do you believe in investment?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in diversification. I think having exposure to several different sectors is really the best way to mitigate risk of investing. I don't like having all of my eggs in one basket, so to speak. I really like looking out for sectors and individual investments that may be undervalued. I tend to have a longer term outlook for majority of my clients. So I'm looking to invest in companies that aren't just the hot
Fly
stock
by
of the
night.
day or
Yeah.
anything like that. Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking into something that's going to perform, 3, 5, 7, 10, 20 years down the line. Not to say that we're just going to invest in it and then forget about it. It definitely takes work to monitor it and make sure that it's still performing the way that we originally had wanted it to. But, just diversification, long-term outlook, looking for those values and really just sticking to a plan and really trying not to get too, trying not to trade emotionally. So going through something like we've been going through in 2020 with this pandemic, it's really, really easy to see, your portfolio value drop 25, 30% from one month to another, and you start to panic. We saw it in 2008, we saw it in 2000, we've seen it in every financial crisis that there's been. People tend to panic and they want to sell and get out. If we have a plan set in place, I always try to ask my clients, okay, so what has changed in the long-term plans from the last time we talked? If nothing has changed, then we try to kind of talk through it and say, okay, well, what really is scaring you? What's bothering you here? What can we do to help you sleep better at night? So rather than just, trading emotionally, I try to come in and shine light on the bigger picture and say, we've planned for this. We have part of the beauty of diversification is you have different buckets, we can call them. One is for the long term, the growth, accumulation and growth aspect of your portfolio. The other is for income, and you can have one for short term expenses as well. So a portion of your portfolio may be dropping in value during a pandemic like this, but we still have access to the short-term, less volatile, more conservative investments. So if the car, breaks down on you, or if you need a new water heater at that particular time, we don't need to sell from the assets that have gone down. We have a bucket available to us in the short term. And this way it allows us to stay invested and take advantage of that long-term growth that we have seen in the market. Yeah.
So key, I think, right now, like you said, and this, I think, emotional aspect is so important. That's definitely something you wouldn't be able to get online, right? So
right.
you would provide some peace and tranquility and guidance that you wouldn't get, if someone didn't come to you in person. So
yeah, and also there's some reassurance because we do this planning ahead of time. We don't wait for the pandemic to happen to start planning for a pandemic. We try to do this ahead of time, and we can manage expectations. And if I have a client that's 6 months away from retiring, we need to take that into account. We need to say, okay, we can't be in really aggressive or risky investments right now because we need to plan for their retirement. So they wouldn't have been in a situation where their account would have dropped as much as, let's say, a 25-year-old who has an IRA that, they don't need access to it for another 30 years. So,
Right.
Yeah,
So,
and just reminding clients about that. A lot of clients forget about that, and they just need a reminder of, oh yeah, we talked about this. That's why we're in this type of a portfolio. And most of the time they feel really relieved and relaxed when they're reminded about why we put them in the portfolio that they're in.
which is really important, exactly. So I was just wondering, what services do you provide your clients? It sounds like you definitely can help with retirement. What else?
Yeah, so we can do retirement. We have non-retirement accounts. We do investment management, and we also do financial planning for folks. So there are some people who come to us and they like doing the investing themselves. Maybe they do have a Schwab account or a E-Trade account or something like that, and they like going in and doing the trading themselves. But they just need to know, hey, am I on track for retirement, or when can I retire? Or maybe they've, are trying to do college planning for one of their kids. So we offer a financial planning service for a certain fee. Other people are the opposite, where they don't really need so much of the planning, but they need help with their investments. And so we'll also offer investment management for other clients. Most of the time, though, I would say a majority of the time, people need a blend of the two. And so we have services available that we will manage their assets for them. We will do the trading for them, their investing for them. And then we'll also offer the planning along the way. So yeah, if you're a client
So
of
you
ours.
provide everything, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, I think that was my question recently until I learned the answer. And I think a lot of people might be wondering, how are you or your company, how are you compensated?
Yeah, that's another good question. So it really depends on the type of services we're providing. So as I mentioned, if it's only planning, it's a set fee. If you just want a one-time planning, it's just going to be a one-time fee. If it's ongoing planning, we have an annual plan that it depends on the types of services that we offer. But if it's just the investment management, we have also so many different options. Sometimes if a client isn't planning on doing a lot of trading, if they just want to buy something and hold it for a long period of time, then it makes sense to put them in a commission account. We get paid just on the times that they do trades. And so if they're not doing a lot of trading, we just do a commission, and that seems to be the most affordable for them. What we do with the blend when we're doing planning and investment management is we call that a partnership, and we try to set a flat rate based on the assets under management. So what we'll do is, if you have assets under management, we'll wipe the financial planning fee. The financial planning comes with that fee. So there are a lot of different ways of us getting compensated, and we always try to find a solution that's going to be in the best interest of our client, of course.
Great. It sounds like there's some tiered structure depending on what someone's needs are, which
Absolutely.
is
And sometimes there's not always a good fit, and so we'll have to refer a client to either another advisor, a different firm, or just somewhere that they can do something that will be cost efficient for them. Because we really are. We're looking out for the best interest of our client, and I'm not going to take on an account just so I could get another commission. If it doesn't make sense for the client, then I'm not going to do it. I'm really just out for their best interest.
That's great. One technical question, I guess. What is a fiduciary? I think that's a word that we've heard. We hear a lot. And are you a fiduciary or not?
Yeah, so it is a buzzword. It's the word we are hearing quite a bit about recently. Basically, a fiduciary is nothing more than the duty to look out for the client's best interest. So, as we talked about, that's of course something that we're doing already. So Jacob Young, my business partner from Jacob Young Financial, he is a certified financial planner, CFP, and part of that training and part of him running this business is an obligation to act in a fiduciary duty. So yes, our clients are covered under that fiduciary duty. But to me, it's such a funny thing because I find it so interesting that anyone in this industry wouldn't already be doing that. Like, it's funny to me to think that they had to come up with a rule to say you have to do that. Because one of the ways we get compensated is if our clients are doing well, we do well. So if we can, raise the value of our clients' accounts, then we'll end up getting paid more. And so why wouldn't I be doing what's in the client's best interest in the first place? So as a fiduciary, yes, we are covered by that duty to always do what's in the client's best interest. We're not going to recommend any trades that go against the client's risk tolerance or investment philosophy. And again, we're not going to do anything just to create a commission in the client's account.
Yeah. Well, one last question that just comes to mind because of COVID, and what can we do to prepare for something in the future like this? I mean, we're in the middle of it now. So is there an advice that you can provide other than calling you right now? But what can someone do to sort of be prepared for an emergency like that? What can I start doing today that will set me in a better place should something like this happen again?
Yeah, it's really, really important to think about that ahead of time. Funny enough, we are in a part, the market has come almost all the way back from where it was before the pandemic hit. So while we're still in the middle of the pandemic, the markets have recovered quite a bit. And so this provides us with a unique opportunity to kind of look back and say, well, what would I have done differently before the pandemic hit? Because I still think that there's going to be some volatility going forward before we get out of this. So we're in an opportunity where we can do something about it. So right now is the time to act. And again, I would bring it back to just contacting your financial advisor, contacting me if you don't have one, or if you would just like a second set of eyes, a second opinion on your investments, and really start to think about diversifying and creating those buckets. Having a rainy day fund is always a good idea. As we've found out, unfortunately, so many people lost their jobs just so quickly, and you can't always count on unemployment and the government to keep you afloat during these difficult times. So I recommend keeping a rainy day fund in your bank account, and then also having your investments diversified so you do have that short-term safety bucket, something that is not going to be fluctuating with the market volatility, something that you can have access to help pay the bills and keep the lights on and put food on the table. So I would say just start planning now, and give me a call if you need any help.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Kevin. I will be sure to include your information in my email, and take care.
Thank you. These videos are great. I'm really happy to be a part of it. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.